summarises in. Who comes to mind straight off the bat?
Jeremy Coney.
Jerry Coney.
Yeah, I would say.
And I'm not moving. Yeah, I'm not moving. If you're not having this, I'm resigning.
No, you're fine.
Fred Truman.
Oh.
Got to have Fred.
Okay.
It's hard for us.
I've worked with Fred.
Yeah, because
no, he outrageous. I mean, just complete entertainment, curmudgeon, outrageous. You remember Matthew Engel? Do you remember Matthew Engel, the Guardian?
Yeah.
Fantastic! I'll never forget this. He wrote when he was at he was chief correspondent with Matthew at this time. He said, "And Fred Truman surpassed his previous best prior to the start of this Test match at Trent Bridge or wherever it was, where in the half-hour build-up to the game starting." He said 11 times he does not know what is going off out there, and they hadn't even started.
Okay, so Fred. So this is about balance here. Right?
Fred and Coney.
They would be good.
Absolute gold.
Well, would they be on at the same time?
For lunch specials.
Can you have more than one Yorkshireman?
You want?
So I love Jeffrey.
All right, okay. Right, well, come on, I'll back off. And we'll debate Jeffrey or Fred.
And Goffey, actually. But let's say no talkSPORT. What I loved about Jeffrey is that... So I'll give you an example. So when I came to put together talkSPORT...
I'm having Jeffrey.
When I came to put together the talkSPORT commentary team, because one of the things that's different between radio and TV is that TV can be more technical. Okay, you have more graphics and you have ways of explaining the game through imagery. You can get really to the heart of, why a batter is continually getting out in a certain way, because you can show so much more than you can on radio, and you can get a little bit bogged down with, with such things in radio. So I found myself in a position where when you go to the cricket, you get these little earpieces, right? Yeah. So I'll be at the cricket doing my reports to talkSPORT. And if there was a lull in play and, not a lot was happening, I'd click it over to TMS, right? And then if something was happening on the pitch and I needed to work out what it was, I'd click it onto Sky. And that's how I kind of worked out where I wanted talkSPORT to be. Yeah. I wanted talkSPORT to kind of be in the middle, right? Right. And what I found with listening to a lot of Test Match Special, and I've listened to a lot of TMS, obviously, over the last 40 years, is that when Jeffrey was on, I wanted to listen. Because not only would Jeffrey be entertaining...
Me too,
okay,
me too.
He would have an opinion, he would not care, and he'd put it on a bit, he'd really dial it up. Yeah. But not only would he make things entertaining, and he wouldn't care about the fact he was about to see, Johnny Bairstow later on that evening. If Johnny Bairstow played a daft shot, he would say it, but he'd also have the technical side of things. So if Johnny Bairstow's getting out, he's getting bowled all the time, and I'm sitting there and I'm trying to work out why that is, I knew Jeffrey would tell me. Yeah. So he could do both things. He became a little bit of a parody of himself by the end, and I felt that he let himself down a bit. He wouldn't, you'd be at the first Test match of the summer, and Mohammed Abbas would be running in, bowling at 78 miles an hour, and Jeffrey would be like, "Who's this? Oh yeah, he's never going to take any wickets. This guy, he's bowling at 78 miles an hour." And then Mohammed Abbas has taken 50 Test wickets in 12 months, and he's on the honours board before the day's out. But Jeffrey, for me, I think has got to be in there as a candidate.
I love Jeffrey instead of Fred, then.
Wow, I've convinced him.
Yeah, you've changed me. I mean, only because my wife thinks that Jeffrey is gold. Yeah.
Jarrod, you've got a pained expression on your face.
Yeah, he's not happy.
He's not happy.
Look, I know he's a national institution and you're not supposed to question him, but
question away.
We've got Jeffrey, who you're coming up with.
Yeah. Who comes in?
I would have thought that, and I never listened to Truman, although I've heard clips. I would have assumed that Truman, if you're getting one person in that role, that Fred Truman defined that role and nailed it. Whereas I think that, do you guys know who Statler and Waldorf is?
Yes.
Yeah. From Sesame Street.
From Muppets.
The Muppet Show.
Oh, Muppets, sorry, yes.
Essentially, I think Boycott kind of fell into that and and there's a lot of very good commentators who do this. It just becomes the same shtick over and over again. Just insert new name.
It became a little bit of a parody towards the end.
And what I would say is, like Ian Chappell and Jeffrey Boycott clearly know a lot about cricket.
Yeah.
But I can kind of tell you what they're going to say before they say it. That's very different than casual fan, of course.
Yeah,
and I've
but
listened to thousands and thousands of hours of these guys.
Yeah.
But there's a point of just where I'm like, oh, okay, we're going into this one again, are we?
Yeah, but
I
the
should
casual
use the
fan
straight bat.
matters.
No, I do get that.
You know?
I do, but I'm not a casual fan,
No,
and
but
I
you
listen to
are-
more cricket commentary
But
than
you
anyone
are
else.
putting together your team, which is broadcasting, not to someone who's played for England.
I would have
And-
Truman ahead of Boycott.
See, with Jeffrey on that entertainment, the casual fan would go on, Jeffrey, get
Yeah.
stuck in.
Yeah.
Go on, give him plenty.
I would say, for TMS, absolute heavyweights over the last 10 years. Vaughan, Boycott, Agnew.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. And the new.
So when Boycott left-
hang on, the new bloke is good. Dan is good, real good.
Yeah, of
Dan's
course.
good.
He's,
No
he's a
mistake.
two-team boy like me. So.
All right.
So anyway, so where
You're
are
gonna
we?
talk
So,
about Surrey again,
so we're
are we?
not. No.
So we got
What we've-
Jeffrey. We're having Jeffrey. He's not.
You don't want Truman?
No, we're having Jeffrey.
Okay.
We're having
Well, it's
Jeffrey.
you two got a YouTube. It's your show.
So we-
okay,
we
so we
got
put
a
the
call-
Yorkshireman to one side for a minute. We can
Okay.
debate that. So who have we? You're both saying Jeremy Coney.
Yep.
Yeah. So we need one more.
We need two more, don't we?
Two
Yeah,
more.
well,
Two
I'm going
more.
to give you four. So one of the other elements that you need to factor in, of course, or certainly I factored in when putting together the talkSPORT team was, you do need to kind of think about, okay, well, you know, it's good to have a spinner, it's good to have a fast bowler, it's good to have a batter, and it might be quite nice to have a wicket keeper,
Wicket,
but
yeah.
essentially you can't have four fast bowlers.
No.
Right? The other thing is, and you made the point, you want someone alongside you who's been out there and has played the game, right? I find it absolutely fascinating when I'm listening to commentary and one of the commentators, the summarisers, can look out there and talk about the players on the field as sharing a dressing room with them. Yeah? So whether it's Graham Swan talking about Joe Root or it's Matt Pryor talking about Stuart Broad or whatever. So I think you have to factor that in as well. And then, of course, do you want to have one of the things of talkSPORT was I looked at our commentary team and you had Matt Pryor and Gareth Batty, quite new.
Gareth knows the county scene for a start,
and
and
he-
the
I
No,
know
he's actually really old.
knows the players.
But they've recently retired. Then you went back. You had Butch, and Harney, and then you went back a little bit further. You had Goffey, and then you went back a little bit further, and you had Bumble.
That's not a little bit, that's a long
You
one.
know what I'm
way,
saying?
long
But you
way
could
back.
basically draw a line
Yeah.
all the way back from the point where you're sitting there, all the way back. And again, that's something that you've got to factor in.
But that's
when you
hard
put
when you're
together-
looking at a great team like this because someone who is a good current day commentator is going to struggle to have done it that much.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another top commentator,
Go on.
Alison Mitchell. Commentator.
Ball by ball,
That's
right?
ball by
ball by
yeah.
ball. Alison
And
Mitchell.
that's another thing. You have to think of the balance of the voices as well.
Yeah, top notch. But you know, we've probably gone for greats and icons, but we're talking about honourable mentions, and we mentioned Dan Norcross, and I would put Alison Mitchell right
Definitely.
up there.
She
We've
would
got
actually could host it very well.
Jeremy Coney, Jeffrey Boycott. Now, are you saying you
Before we
want
go on,
to?
Jeremy Coney, just to explain, because you've just kind of, Jeremy's in there. What is it about Jeremy Coney that means that he is in your all-time radio commentary team?
So Jeremy Coney is a teacher, right? And I've never studied with him, although I studied at the feet of his cricket knowledge. But he's one of those educators that I think if he was in your class, you would feel better about being in his class. He has the ability
absolutely.
to
Feel
tell
good.
the story.
Feel good.
Yeah, he makes you feel better about everything that's going on. He's got a beautiful way of speaking. He's also got an avant-garde brain, right? Like,
Well, he's also in the theatre industry.
yeah, kind of. Like, well, he wanted to be in the theatre industry. If he wouldn't have become a cricketer, he probably would have gone off and done something far more creative, right? But he's very down to earth. He thinks these things through, but he does have a flair, a dramatic flair that he has. So he has the ability to tell a great story, to analyze a moment perfectly, but he also always works off who his co-commentator is. You watch him, and I've watched him from the back of the box, but you can hear it on air. His ability to work out, okay, I'm with this person now, so I need to bounce in this direction and take it this way. and to build on what other people do. And Bumble's very good at this as well. When you commentate with Bumble, is they're building on. And so when you're listening to Jeremy Coney, you're not hearing just two people talking, and you're not just hearing a conversation, you're hearing a joint story being told. And his ability to be able to do that is on another level. Plus, he was a genius cricket brain, right? Like, he was an okay cricketer. He wouldn't talk himself up as a great. I think he batted, number 5, number 6, and average.
Bowled a bit of dribble.
Yeah, and he would say, I wasn't very good at bowling, but I could think guys out, and and he would put fielders in random positions. So he thinks on that sort of, that sort of Shane Warne tactical genius level, but he can explain it. He can explain why it is happening to you, and in a way that you understand it, because he's been talking to, 14-year-olds in schools.
And the eccentricity of him as well. He's quite an eccentric.
He is.
And I think that comes across in his commentary. And
he's mad.
He's mad.
He's mad. No, I can say that. He's my friend.
Don't you feel he's got a great flow to his voice?
Yeah.
He's up, he's down, and he's very descriptive, of course. So we need another.
Yeah.
Are you saying...
younger commentators, radio commentators...
Philip Tufnell, left arm spin.
He wouldn't be in my...
Great voice.
I think he's very good, but I'm not sure he's...
No, we're after another summariser.
Yeah. No, I think he's very good, but I'm not sure he's at that level. So the younger ones is really interesting, because I think...
Mark Butcher is excellent,
Butch
but
does
he's
a lot
a
of
talk
commentary as well,
sport.
doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. But Butcher's wonderful. Dirk Nannis in Australia, have either of you come across Dirk Nannis?
I like Dirk Nannis.
Dirk is great because it feels like he's enjoying it, right?
Which is a huge part of it.
Yeah, and as a lot of co-commentators, let's be honest, Bumble.
They dial it in.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good shot, but it was a half volley outside our start.
That's the producer's fault for employing him.
I know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
With Dirk, there's a joy in Dirk, and when Dirk gets angry about something, he also doesn't care.
I've never heard him, so I'm out.
I think it would be too early to put him in, but I think he's a really,
the
really
greatest of all time.
I'm trying to think of some of the other. There just isn't as many. It would have to be someone who'd been around for a long time. I don't think you could go with anyone particularly modern.
Of course, there are a lot of people that are.
I'll tell you, you've mentioned one who is really good.
Go on.
And he's got a pedigree. Is Vaughan.
Yeah.
But Vaughan is good, real good.
I always thought Vaughan was better when he's not commentating cricket, when he's got a podcast or a show as a broadcaster.
Well, I ain't seen any of them, but he's
got about 9 of them.
He's busy.
But what about the TMS from eras gone?
Trevor Bailey.
I used to love Trevor Bailey.
Yeah.
That's Kenneth Williams.
He was just like him, especially after the red wine at 4 o'clock. So what do you think of this guy, Trevor? He seems to be quite a quick bowler. Like him in my side. Right, leave it there.
What about Kerry O'Keefe?
I really like Kerry O'Keefe.
But not everyone does.
Better on radio than on TV.
He's 100 times better on radio than he was on TV.
Yeah.
Especially because on TV, he's trying to get out one-liners over and over again.
It's a bit painful.
Whereas on radio, he goes, I can tell this 4-minute story that's going to end with a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also in TV, it's almost a bit like, we've got Kerry here to make you laugh. Kerry, tell a joke.
Whereas
that don't do it for me.
No.
When he retired from radio, I said, I know a lot of people are going to. I say retired. He left ABC, didn't he? And then signed a bigger contract with someone else. But he was going to retire. And I went up to him and I said, look, we don't know each other, Kerry, but I just want to say a lot of people are going to go on about the jokes. I said, but you explain spin bowling as well as anyone ever has on air. And I learnt about spin bowling from listening to you as much as I did, watching Richie do a video or anything like that. So I thought Kerry could do that. The problem is, and Bumble probably knows this more than anyone in this room, is you become a bit of a character at a certain point, and people keep paying you to be that character, and so you lean in. And Danny Morrison is the perfect example of that. Danny Morrison has made a whole career of being that TV Danny Morrison, and you meet him in real life or you listen to him on radio. Danny Morrison isn't the person we see commentating on the IPL, right? He's very different. And I think Kerry did lean into the whole jokes thing, but purely as a commentator, he used to watch. He told me when he was retiring, I said, you're still doing okay. Like, why would you retire? He goes, I don't get up at 1 a.m. anymore to watch cricket when it's played overnight. And I'd never heard a commentator talk about doing that much research.
That's fair.
He had notes and notes on players, and he'd be like, this guy's from Mossman, and the Mossman wicket does this, and this guy was coached down in Tasmania, but the coach down there, he's really good at reverse swing or whatever. Really did his work. Really did his work on that side of things. And then it is an entertainment business, and he was a brilliant entertainer.
So he'd see where he slotted in. That's what he'd see, who's paying me, what do they want?
Exactly.
So I'll give them what they want.
What about Sunil Gavaskar? Now, you'd say he doesn't do much radio, but he actually does do.
He's a lot better on radio than TV.
He does ABC.
Yep.
I mean, he's a very accomplished broadcaster, his Sonny.
I think on TV he gets a little lost, and I'm not sure he knows when to talk. And whereas I don't know Sonny very well at all. You probably would know him very, very well, but he's a person that gets into a conversation, and so he finds it hard to interject correctly on TV. Whereas when he's on radio, it's part of a dialogue, and he's much better at doing it that way.
We need another one.
One more.
You're not having Kerry.
Not for me.
That's okay.
No. You guys decide.
It's you.
I hear that Bumble just said.
See, you've come up with Dirk Nannes, but I know Dirk, and I would think he's quite a character.
He's definitely a character.
Yeah.
I think Dirk in 5 or 10 years would be quite good at it. I mean, but whether he is, I don't think he can be all time now.
What we're saying is, let's have a new kid who's Dirk. We've gone for the nostalgic and the great people of the game in the past. Let's go for a new guy. Let's
but it is supposed to be our all-timer.
Or he's our all-time.
Yeah.
Now or favourite team, favourite commentary team, all-time. Is all-time the correct term?
Yeah, maybe that's another one as well. But I can't think. The problem is also with our industry is that co-coms and radio don't, like, one of the reasons we picked Coney, right, is because Coney has been a co-commentator on radio for 30 years. Right?
Yeah.
Go to ABC, which is, the Australian version of TMS, they don't have as many co-coms people that went for a lot. And one reason that Kerry comes to mind, even if I love him and Bumble hates him, which is what we got on camera, isn't it?
Do you know what? I've thought of one. Oh. Damien Fleming.
Fleming's really, really interesting. I'll be interested to see.
Ahead of Kerry.
So I know some commentators who don't like Fleming for the same reason that Kerry gets a bad rap, which is he goes into that sort of stick mode too quickly.
I haven't heard that with him in the same way I've heard it with
the
Kerry.
bowlologist stuff.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but
punters love it.
But that's what I was about to say. They love people like that. So I think Damien Fleming's brilliant, and I've been lucky enough to work with him and listen to him for a long time.
Me too.
And I think
he's good.
He's one of those cricketers. If he wasn't injured for most of his career, would have been thought of as he's like a Jason Gillespie level talent, right? But no one remembers him because he barely ever played.
They also look kind of similar, a little bit.
Well, they're about a foot different in height.
Well, think of the goatees.
They both had great goatees, you're right. Both like heavy metal music, I think, as well.
There you go.
I think Flem's brilliant. Yeah. I think, again, a bit like Kerry, on TV, he becomes a bit of a caricature, whereas on radio, he has to talk.
See, I've only really followed him on radio. I worked a little bit with him, did a little SEN, but he's here during the summers, isn't he? I think Flem's
I like Flem. I think if we're doing an all-time thing, I think Flem should certainly be in ahead of Dirk, even if I think Dirk can continue to be fantastic.
I have no problem with Fleming.
I think we might have
But he does have a problem with Kerry. We've got that on camera, don't we?
We're going to send it. So who have we got then? So,
friend of the show, Kerry. Former friend of the show.
Aggers is hosting, or Alison Mitchell?
It's interesting when he went with Alison, yeah. I think probably Aggers at this stage. I remember you guys have a much steeper broadcast careers than I do. And when I first came over, I did a lot of work with Agnew and Pugach, Mark Pugach. And they were and I just realized what broadcasting was at that level. I had to get better at it because those guys were on a different level. And so I've got no problem with Agnew being the host of that.
And then the three ballers are Tony Cozier, Christopher Martin Jenkins, and I've forgotten one.
Tim Lane.
Tim Lane.
And the summarisers are
Jeffrey Boycott,
Jeremy Coney.
Yeah.
Who are the other two?
Fleming.
Damien Fleming.
Are we still one short?
And one more. Well, see, I'm thinking, do we actually have Truman in there as well?
Truman or Michael Vaughan?
The only problem is we've got no batters. But
Michael Vaughan.
Well, Coney's a batter.
yeah, I suppose so.
I mean, what?
Yeah,
I mean,
Corney's a
No,
batter.
he was. Yeah, he was.
I think he'd be pretty.
I think of him more as a bowler than a batter. Which
No, he was an all-rounder, genuine all-rounder.
I think of
He
him.
was a batter. He could bowl. He wasn't a genuine all-rounder.
We're done.
I think Truman kind of, I think he kind of pioneers that role in a way, and I think that
lightning.
And I think that English broadcasting owes a debt to that kind of person who still exists today.
You know Peter Baxter, so when Fred was on, and it was all when people wrote letters.
Yeah.
So people wrote letters, and he used to get a stack of letters like that. Get this man off, he's an absolute disgrace, Fred Truman. So we used to share it. You'd have 2 matches on and 1 off.
Yeah.
And Trevor Bailey, myself, and Fred. And then next week you get a pile like that. Where's Fred? Why is Fred not on? So it completely half and half. Where's Fred? Fred, as I mentioned, outrageous, curmudgeon, miserable, great fun.
Entertainment.
Oh, entertaining. When he walked in we had a shed at the back of Headingley on the rugby side. It was a death trap. It could catch fire any minute. And it's tiny, you couldn't get 6 people in. And he always used to turn up a little bit late with his pipe, which is like Ferrybridge power station, is this thing, when she lights it up. And he'd come in and so it's just, before it's just fog in this room, and Johnson says, well, Fred's arrived. He said, wonderful to see you, Fred. I see you've broke the pipe with you again. Of course, you don't inhale. To which Frindle said, yes, but the rest of us do. Just fog everywhere.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.